What is going on, everybody? Today we're looking at the Hasbro Marvel Legends X-Men 97 wave. So we have wave 2 coming out just in time for the release of the new season. So in this wave, first off, we have Magneto. So we have Magneto where he's now good and leading the X-Men. So it's cool to get him in this outfit that has been used in the comics, especially more recently with him leading the New Mutants. So that costume looks cool. Then, of course, for our classic characters, we have Cyclops and Jean Grey. So, of course, two original X-Men characters there in their more Jim Lee inspired designs as they appear in the X-Men series. So both of those look really cool. Gotta have those for the collection. And behind these figures, we then have Nightcrawler. So Nightcrawler is always one of my favorite mutants. So getting him in this X-Men 97 wave is really cool. And then we have two new characters of Goblin Queen. So Madeline Pryor. So pretty interesting backstory of her. And she comes with a baby Cable, which is pretty cool. So that's awesome. And then we have X-Cutioner, which looks really cool. So a guy that kind of is a mutant hunter. So he will be cool to look at as well. So we have 6 good looking figures here to look at today that I'm excited for, of course, getting ready for the release of X-Men 97. So let me go and get these out of the packaging and we'll take a look at them together. And let's start off with Magneto, who is Eric Lyncher, and he's the master of magnetism. And we see in the show that Xavier left the Institute and the X-Men to Magneto, so he is now the leader of the team. And of course, Magneto has the ability to generate and manipulate magnetic fields, allowing him to levitate, control, and move metal objects, as well as fly, generate force fields, and shoot beams from his hands. And overall, he looks cool here. So this is a different costume design. So this is like they've been using this more recently, like I said, with like the New Mutants where he's the leader of. He has this sort of outfit. And then of course we see he's going to have the trial of Magneto in the show as well. So kind of from that, but it's pretty cool with this like this dark purple. So it almost looks black, almost a brown like in real life, but in the camera you can see it's got a purple tinge to it. So he has this outfit on from his neck that goes all the way down. So probably a spandex outfit all the way to the boots. And then he has sleeves that go up his arms a little there with the big M on his chest. So that's pretty cool. And then he has this purple cape on as well. So it has this wrapping around his neck and the purple going there to the back. So pretty similar to old classic Magnetos with the purple cape. So that is cool. And then we have his face there. So he doesn't have his helmet on. So we have the face there, the older face of Eric Lyncher. So it looks pretty nice with the white hair and usually pictured with the long hair. So he's got that as well. I love like little bangs in the front, white eyebrows as well. And then his face, which looks pretty decent. Of course, it's hard to get a true likeness to Magneto because, you know, who knows the exact details of him and what he looks like. But I think this face, if you know WWE wrestling, this looks a lot like Triple H. Like that face design looks so much like him. It's crazy, like him in a cartoon version. But overall, I think it looks pretty nice. Like this obviously isn't my favorite version of Magneto. I prefer him in his normal outfit, which I'll show you in a second, which we got in the first wave. But I think this does look really nice. And we'll do his movements, but I think I'll go and just take the cape off him just so it's out of the way and easier to move around. So we'll take that cape off. So with his head, it can look down that far and up just about that far again because of the longer hair there in the back, and it can rotate all the way around. And then we go to the shoulders that do come up to 90 with that butterfly joint back and forth and can rotate around. We get a bicep twist and the double elbow joint, of course, pinless joints on all these. So double elbow joint that bends up that far, which is really nice. And the wrist will twist around and hinge back and forth. Then we go to the ab crunch, so there with the M, crunches forward, crunches back, so decent crunching, and twist all the way around at the waist. Then we get the hips that come up to 90 and out to the side, thigh twist all the way around, the double knee joint that, again, with these pinless joints get stiff a lot, so his joint is pretty stiff there, but it can bend up that far to the back, not far from kicking his butt. And then we get a shin twist in the middle of the leg, and the foot will flex back and forth. Again, stiff in this joint, flex back and forth, and can twist side to side. So good movements overall there with the pinless body. Like I said, stiffness in joints, but it moves nice overall. And then we can put the cape back on him. And then with the cape, he does have the ability to be able to like float in the air. So it has the design that's kind of curled around there. So I'm not sure how you do it exactly, but I think you got to get him in like a sitting position. So if you get him in like this sort of position, he will float up in the air, which is pretty cool. And then of course with that we can use some of his accessories, so we get hands that are, you know, open hands here, possibly using some of his power. So let's put those on. So there with those hands, it looks like he's levitating himself now, which is really cool. And then we also get an angry head that we can use, so more of an angry face that I think will be cool. So let's switch that out. So I feel that fits even better together with the angry face using his hands to help levitate. I think overall that is pretty cool. So I like that they threw in that cape to allow him to levitate like this. I probably won't use it or anything, but I just think it's cool that they did that. And to go along along with this Magneto, of course, we had Magneto in the first wave as well, again in that more classic Magneto design of the red and purple. So we have those to go together now. So we have Magneto in both forms, where he's now the leader of the Xavier School, and then normal classic Magneto as well. So both of those look really cool together. So like I said, I like this figure. It's cool. I like the design. It's just not my favorite. I definitely prefer the other one. So that's always going to be my favorite, but don't have too many issues with this one either. And next up, we have Cyclops, who is Scott Summers, and he's the second in command and in the field leader of X-Men. And he has the ability to store solar energy and release it as force beams from his eyes, and has to wear ruby lens glasses or his visor to help contain the beam. So he looks cool here. Of course, looks like classic Cyclops, or at least in my mind, classic, because, you know, I grew up with the designs from the X-Men show. So this is classic to me with that more Jim Lee design. And overall looks pretty cool. Of course, we have him on the newer body. I believe it's the Vulcan body, which of course is one of his brothers. So overall pretty nice design. Of course, the classic with the blue spandex going all the way up from his head here, so covering the sides of his head, and down all the way his arms and legs as well. So they got that blue spandex with the yellow over the top. So he's got the yellow underwear with the yellow belt with pockets all around him, and the straps coming up with the X-Men logo there on his chest and X logo on the belt as well. Yellow gloves and yellow bands on his legs, and of course I love these that they're built in so we don't have to worry about them, as well as the top of the boots with the yellow boots there as well. And overall looks decent. And then we got the face, which isn't horrible, but I just noticed like the hair just as flat and stuff as it seems definitely looks cartoony for this. But I'm sure we could easily, hopefully if colors matched well enough, easily switch out the heads so you could give him different looks with maybe more realistic hair. And then he's got the gold visor there on his face as well, of course, to be able to shoot his optic blast. So overall looks decent. Now, movement wise, we get that'll twist all the way around. Can look down that far and up that far. So decent movements in the neck there. Shoulders can come up a little bit stiff there, but up to 90 with the butterfly joint back and forth. And then it can rotate all the way around. We get the bicep twist and the double elbow joint that can bend up that far, so almost all the way up on itself, with the wrist that'll twist around and hinge back and forth. Then we go to the ab crunch, so crunch forward and crunch back. Now he has crunching, it just seems like he's sticking for some reason, but I do like that they have the strap design built in there, so as you crunch it, it stays with him, so always love that new design that they're doing. And then we can twist all the way around at the waist as well, so just under the belt. Then the hips will come up close to 90 and out to the side. Thigh twist around the double knee joint, again with the pinless joints a little stiff there, but can bend up that far to the back. We get the shin twist at the top of the boot, and the foot will flex back and forth and twist side to side. So decent movements, nice range and everything. Now the only issue I'm seeing with the figures like these, of course with, you know, pinless joints, they're a little bit stiff, so that's an issue, but nothing major, but is that they have really like shallow designs here for the bicep, and so you can easily, you know, trying to like lift the arm up can easily like break this off or pop the arm off. So they need to do some design a little bit different there with the bicep so we don't have as much issues there. But for accessories, we do get some additional hands, so he comes with a set of fist hands, so he has two just like open like grasping hands, whatever, so we get two fists. And then of course for his optic blast, we have to have the finger to be able to push the button on his visor, so let's switch that out. And there Scott can now shoot off his optic blast, and for that we do get an additional head, so we have a head with an angry face, and of course they slot to put an optic blast in, so let's switch this head out. So there's that angry face, which I do like because we don't really get angry faces too much, or at least I don't remember, so it's nice having that. It just looks awkward because now to use this head you definitely have to put in his optic blast, which we get as well, which of course is similar to the ones we've had before. So it's nice that on one side it has this nice like ridge texture, so it adds some design to it, but I think the way it goes in, it's got to be the flat side up. So we just plug this into the eyes there, so now he's got the optic blast shooting out, which of course that takes up a lot of space, so I wouldn't always want that, but like I said, I like having the angry face, so I wish they'd give us, you know, a head just like this but with the angry face instead of just the normal stoic face. Obviously I want the stoic face as well, but yeah, I just want that because I think that looks pretty cool there, of him shooting his optic blast out at you. Looks very awesome there. And of course we've had older versions of Cyclops, so we have the Jim Lee comic version of Cyclops, of course what they're designed off that they use for the cartoon, so that's nice. But of course nice having this newer body so we don't have all the straps that are falling down and everything there and all used on the old Bucky Cat body, so that's nice. And then of course we've pretty much had this body already before with the animated version, so where they have the cell shading, so I'll be showing you some of those today as well with the cell shading, but pretty much the exact same body once again, just obviously this one doesn't have the cell shading and is more specifically for the X-Men 97 series. And overall I think it looks cool. Like I said, I wish the faces was maybe a little bit different and hair didn't look as flat and cartoony, but everything else about the figure I like a lot, so it's awesome to add Scott now to the collection. And next up we have Jean Grey, also known as Marvel Girl, and she's an original member of the X-Men and married to Scott Summers. Now she has the ability of telekinesis to move objects with her mind, and telepathy to transfer thoughts, read minds, and control others, as well as the ability to create force fields and project concussive blasts. And overall she looks cool here, of course still has that classic design to her. Now she probably has a little bit different design, especially even from that animated cell shaded design, so we'll see that difference, but still has relatively the exact same features. So of course we have her long red hair, and again with it being the nice has the poofy hair, especially on top, so a little bit shorter like bang designs up there with the hair going back into the ponytail and down. And then she has the head covering pretty similar that like Cyclops had at the side, and Gamut has coming around to the front, but I like the darker blue with a little bit of lighter blue touch there in the center. And then we have the face of Jean Grey, and again just looks fine, nothing to really complain about. Does look animated though. And then going down, the blue continues where we get the shoulder pads in blue, and then down the center till we get to the belt with a big X logo there and some detailing going around the sides. And then down arms we have like a blue patch, and then going down to the guards there on her forearms, so she's got some blue there as well. And then the orange continues all the way down, so it's like this yellowish orange colors, so it looks pretty nice all the way down. And I like that they added the nice texture and stuff in there for her instead of like the additional paddings or designs added on. So overall definitely not my favorite design, but she looks just fine the way it is. But for movements, we get her head that does twist around. Yeah, you have to be careful with her hair. It can twist around. It's just plugged in the back, so you can't undo that. But if we get out of the way, it can twist all the way around. And then you can look down that far and up that far. So not much movement in there. There's no hinge for that. But then we go out to the shoulders that come up to 90 and can rotate around within there. And I like the shoulder pads, attached to it, so it moves with it. But then we get the bicep twist and the double elbow joint. Of course, with the female, the double elbow pinless joints work out really nice, so it bends all the way up on her there. And the wrist will twist around and hinge back and forth. Then we get the ab crunch, and this is going to be just down at her waist, so she crunches back and forth and can twist around there. Then we go to the hips that can come up to 90 and out to the side. Thigh twist all the way around the double knee joint that bends to the back. Again, the double knee pinless joints, at least that far to the back, and then the foot will flex back and forth and twist side to side. So decent movements, and again, nice having those joints. So we get the double elbows and knees with pinless, so it helps the females a lot. It makes them sturdier, it seems like, and work out much better. And of course, with the double elbows, get better range of movement, so that's always nice. Now, accessory-wise, we do get some additional hands. We get the normal, what I call magic hands, so the hands with the fingers splayed out for using powers. So let's switch these out. So with those hands now, she can be using her powers, and then we get an additional head as well. So we have a head with the hair down, so not in the ponytail, so that looks nice. So let's switch this head out to see what it looks like. So there's that head, which I don't think looks too bad. Like, it's not my favorite. I'd probably just leave the other one on it, but I don't mind that one at all. I like I said, with the shorter hair there in the front, but her hair's still all poofy and looks pretty nice. Now, of course, we can compare this to our other figures. So we do have the classic comic Jim Lee version of here. Of course, the body is horrible, and definitely nice to have this upgraded version with the pinless knees and elbows. But yeah, this is that older one from the comics, so looks pretty nice, but you can still see the similar designs between the two. And then, of course, we do have that cell shaded version we got before from the animated series. So again, like I said, they definitely changed up the design, although from here they look relatively similar, just obviously repainted and without the cell shading. But it is nice that you can see that they did switch a lot of stuff, and of course, like I said, adding the sculpting on the legs and stuff, so it looks pretty nice. And it's crazy that we just got this figure just last year. Now we have this version that it's already much better, at least body wise. I like it though, the other colors, so that would be cool to have that, but not bad at all for this Jean. Like I said, nice to have the upgraded body. And next up we have Nightcrawler, who is Kurt Wagner. He is the son of Mystique and a demonic looking mutant, and he has the abilities of teleportation as well as micro-suction disc on his hands and feet to crawl on walls, camouflage ability to blend into the shadows, night vision, superhuman agility and reflexes, and a prehensile tail. And of course, Kurt here looks just like the other Nightcrawlers we've had before. Just the only real difference for me is that we get the different head design with more of a poofy hair, which I don't like as much. Like, I don't hate it, it's just I don't like as poofy as it is here in the front. But overall, looks just like the Nightcrawler figures we've had before. Pretty much the exact same body design, just looks like there's more detailing. So like on the gloves here, it's like sculpted in and then painted, not just painted on over the top. But I do have some issues with the paint design, like it's not the best. So there's some red running down there, and I think it's on his legs, there's some red missing. You can see the black underneath, so not the best like paint job on this figure, but everything else about looks just fine. We get the dark shading there on his face, so usually on his face they always add some dark shading on it, so we get that more on his forehead and close to his eyes with his yellow eyes. But of course we get his pointy ears there with the all blue skin, so that looks nice. And like I said, I do like the hair design just on this figure. I don't like it as much with the nice blue highlights on top of it. Then we get his outfit, so it has a lot of black to it. So from his neck all the way down we get black with the red details, what I always call like the V-shaped design with the shoulder pads coming out. Looks nice there. And then down on the arms we get his gloves, so white gloves that come up with red details, and white boots as well with his 3 fingers and 2-toed feet. So he's very similar to a Ninja Turtle there. And as I mentioned, his prehensile tail, so he's got his blue tail coming out of the back here with the point on the end of it. Overall, I like the design, and it's cool because especially to the figure we're going to compare it to, he does have the pinless knees and elbows, so that'll at least help him over time. Like I said, the only downside to this to me is that the paint job could be a little better. But let's do his movements. So his head will twist all the way around. He can look down that far and up that far, so really good movements with that hinge there. The shoulders do come up to 90 with a butterfly joint. Not much of one, but there is the one there. And of course it can rotate around. We get the bicep twist and the double elbow joint that bends all the way up on itself there. And then of course the wrist will twist around and hinge back and forth. Then we get the ab crunch, so crunch in here, crunch forward, crunch back, so decent, and twist all the way around at the waist. Of course his tail's in the way. Then we get the hips that come up that far, so not all the way up to 90, and that is as far as they will go. Out to the side that far, thigh twist all the way around. The double knee joint that can bend up that far to the back, almost kicking his butt. And then the foot will flex back and forth and can hinge side to side. And then we also get the tail in the back that just sort of spins around. Now this is a thinner material, so it is pretty flimsy, but it's not like bendy tail, so you can't really bend it and it stay in shape, but you can just move it around wherever you want it to be there. So I like that, and that, so you can just add it and move it wherever. Now I am quite surprised they didn't go and put this on that like newer Spider-Man body that has all the additional joints, because that's one thing with Nightcrawler, he's like super posable and everything, or I guess in real life he's super like flexible, so it makes sense for him to be on a body where he can pose up really well. So I'm surprised they didn't put him on that body, but just the way he is here, I think he looks just fine. But accessory wise, we get an additional head, so we have a head here that looks more like an angry face. I may switch this out, of course doesn't really too much different. So there's that face. So yeah, like I said, not much different, just a little bit angrier face. And then he comes with some additional hands, so we get 2 fist hands to go along with his open hands that he's got there, but I think I'll probably just leave those for now. And then of course we do have that older figure, as I mentioned. So like I said, pretty much same body design wise, outfit and everything. They just obviously upgraded, like I said, from the pin joints to the pinless, but overall kept the design, and of course have the more comic style head. So we could probably switch those out, although the blues don't match, but it's not like it really matters either because you don't really see his neck or anything. So we could definitely switch those heads out. And if we want, we could switch the hands out as well to be able to give him a sword in this one. So take the sword from this other one. But as I said, with this old one, you see they just painted the details on, where this one at least has the sculpt there that they didn't paint it in. So definitely love the look of this new Nightcrawler. Definitely a much better body and everything. So gonna be preferred for that. You can just switch out the heads if you don't like this one. And then we get to our characters we've never had before. So we have Goblin Queen here, who is Madame Pryor. Now she's a clone of Jean Grey, created by Mr. Sinister. And when Jean died, the Phoenix Force attracted to the clone, giving it a spark that granted her life force and some of Jean's memories. And soon after, she would meet Scott Summers, and a relationship would develop into marriage, where she would eventually give birth to Nathan Christopher Charles Summers, also known as Cable. And later, Mr. Sinister would reveal that she was a clone and her life was all a lie, and she would descend into madness, starting to go by the name of Goblin Queen, and then gain some additional powers as well. So since she is a clone of Jean, she has the telekinetic and telepathic powers as her, but later she made a bargain with the demon and gained sorcery powers as well. And overall looks cool here, so nice design. Of course this is more cartoony. We missed out on the comic, or at least more comic accurate version from that Hell Charger HasLab that they did a few years ago. That failed unfortunately, but it's nice to finally get her in a figure form. Like I said, it's just unfortunate that's more cartoony, which of course the only thing that really matters is like her face and hair. Definitely looks cartoony, but I'm sure people could easily make customs or take a different head from like a Jean or some, just find some additional head, so it's some character with red hair and replace it here. But overall looks pretty nice face wise. Just looks like the standard female face with the red hair all poofed and everything. So like I said, not too dissimilar from Jean Grey, but the only thing is their skin has like a pinkish tone to it. So instead of like normal skin tone, it's got a pink tone to it. So we can see it on her face a little there on the neck and on her chest as well. Then she has the big jewel with the cape hanging down in the back, so it looks like a nice creepy cape with it all cut up and stuff. Black on the outside, red on the inside, and then she's got the all black leather outfit, so coming down her arms all the way to her hands there, and I like the black fingernail paintings on her hands there. And then she has like the corset design down to the leggings, and I like the transition here where it's got almost like a flat black or like a gray color transition to what'd be like the leather design, and that goes all the way up her thigh and down to the boots where we do have the high heels. So she is quite difficult to stand up, but I do have her standing, but probably doing any little movement she'll fall over. But for movements, we get her head that it will twist around, of course hard with the hair, but it can get it twist all the way around if you force it around there. And then she can look down that far and then up just straight on because of the hair. We get the shoulders that come up to 90 and then can rotate around. We get a bicep twist and the double elbow joints again with the pinless joints there, so it bends all the way up on her, with the wrist that'll twist around and hinge back and forth. Then we get the ab crunch just under her chest, so crunch back and forth and twist around, and then go down to the hips that can come up pretty much to 90 and then out to the side. We get a thigh twist but lower down, which is kind of cool, so lower down closer to the knee we get the thigh twist and the double knee joint that bends up that far to the back, so nice there. All the way down to the boots where we get the foot that flexes back and forth and can twist side to side. But like I said, with those high heels it makes her super hard to stand up. But for accessories we do get some additional hands, so we get some fist hands to go along with her like magic hands. And speaking of, we do get some magic effects that can go on her, so we get these nice green flame effects. So let's put these on her hands. So there she has the magic effects, and now I can't get her to stand up at all, so I'm gonna have to try and, oh, there she is finally standing. And then we also get the baby of Nathan Summers, so baby Cable here, which is pretty cool. So of course this baby we've had multiple times before, used with like baby Hulk and different characters, but I like how it's got the all yellow blanket wrapped around it with the little X-Men logos on it. That is pretty fun. Oh, and there she goes. But overall nice little cute little baby to go with her as well. And of course we try and put this in her hands like she's holding it, but obviously she's barely standing the way she is now, so don't want to add that much weight to her. But overall nice to get her. Like I said, just thinks that she's so cartoony, but like I said, I'm sure people can make sculpts or do something to be able to switch it out so she doesn't look as cartoony. But overall she does look really nice here, so it's awesome to finally add a Goblin Queen into our collection. And the final character today is X-Cutioner, whose real name is Carl Dinty, and he was a field agent for the FBI whose partner worked for Charles Xavier to collect technology that the X-Men confiscated from alien races. But when his partner died, the work was passed on to Dinty, and seeing the damage that the mutants caused, he took possessions of the weapons and became a vigilante that set out to punish mutants for their crimes. So a lot of his armor and weaponry is from the Shi'ar, so the Shi'ar armor gives him increased strength, resistance to attacks, and uses a teleportation device as well as other Shi'ar weapons. And overall it's really cool to get him, especially because growing up I had the figure of him from the old like Toy Biz toys from the 90s, so I had that and played with it a lot as a kid, so having it now in a Marvel Legends is really cool, and I think it looks awesome. You know, it looks relatively similar to the one I used to have, just obviously now updated and more for this cartoon, but overall it looks really cool with this design. So I love how he has the helmet though covering his face, and with like the silver against the black looks really nice, almost like a bird's beak. Almost reminds me of like the Plague Doctors or something, but that's pretty cool with that design. And the black continues down the center almost like a tunic or something, coming down really far with this jacket on over top that has sort of like a greenish tinge to it. It's like a grayish green or whatever, the jacket there, that looks really cool. And then it has some extra armor and stuff, so he's got armor almost looking like Cable or Colossus, which is like the chainmail armor, whatever it is there on his arms. Has some straps going down to the gauntlets covering his hands, and then he's got this extra like fabric material hanging off the side here, and then extra armor up on his shoulder on the one side with the straps coming around to pockets. And then he has the Friends of Humanity FOH there on his belt, which is cool. And then down his legs he does have some black like pants going into the armored boots there that cover up his legs, so brown with silver there covering up his legs, which look really cool. So for movements we get the head that'll twist all the way around, so this is a head that's kind of a deep long head that's down in there, so it twists around and then can look down that far and up that far, so just a little bit of movement back and forth there. Then we go to the shoulders that do come up, of course with the material on each shoulder it's going to be hard, but can come up to 90 there, and of course rotate around within there. We get a bicep twist and the double elbow joint that bends up that far, so really nice, with the wrist that'll twist around and can hinge up and down for this hand. Then we go to the ab crunch, so it's just at the waist here, so crunch back and forth and can twist all the way around. And then we get the hips, so I have to get all this material out of the way so they can come up at least that far, so maybe 45, and then out to the side a little. We get a thigh twist all the way around, and Then of course the double knee joint that you have to get the jacket out of the way can bend up like that far to the back at least. And then we get the foot that flexes back and forth and can twist side to side. So although unfortunately he has all this material around him, kind of gets in the way, he does have decent movements beyond that though. And as I mentioned, he does use some Shi'ar weapons. So first we get this gun, so all sorts of weird designs here, but we get this gun that looks pretty cool. It has some like weird design with gold, and of course this piece that keeps like falling off. I don't know if it's supposed to be on there or not, or what the deal is with it, or if it's supposed to stay on it and ours is just falling off, not sure, but looks pretty cool with like the tanks and stuff. So overall cool looking gun. Now I don't know how easy this will be to get in his hand, but let me see if I can. So yeah, definitely not the easiest. I was trying to get him posed up, but I don't think I can get his hands around or be able to hold the tank there with his left hand. But yeah, I was able to get in his right. It's not holding it on very well, so just a little bit of movements and it'll fall out. And then of course dealing with this red piece here is in the way, so that doesn't work out too well. But one thing that is cool with this at least is that we can put it on his back. So we have the peg there, and we have the peg hole, so we can stick this in his back. So there, it can peg onto his back like that, so we have that stored. And then for other weapons, we do get a Shi'ar lance. So we have this lance weapon, so just like a stick that you fight people with. And as obviously we can just stick this into his hand, so he just has that as a weapon. But then we also have the peg here, so we can peg this into the gun. So the gun has some extra peg slots, so we can peg this in as well. So just pick a hole and peg this in. And then he also comes with a Shi'ar spear as well, so we have the spear tip. Again, we can add this to any hands, but we'll just put this in his back as well, so it's all hanging off his back. So there are the weapons on his back. So we have the gun, the spear, and the lance all hanging off there, which is cool. And then of course finally we do get an arm cannon. So we have this weird looking arm cannon with purple design, so we get a dark purple, a lighter pinkish purple, and yellow there as well. So not the coolest looking thing, but I feel the toy I had as a kid had an arm cannon thing like this, so we can just slide that on his hand. So now he has an arm cannon on there as well, so that is pretty cool. So we can give him the arm cannon, maybe one of this like the spear or something in the other hand would be cool. But overall I think that looks awesome. Of course, like I said, looks a little bit like cheesy and weird design, but like I said, having the figure as a kid makes me enjoy this figure a lot and brings back memory playing with that as a kid. So just having this overall is really cool. And I almost forgot, but there is our whole team of X-Men now from the first two waves. We have our new leader of Magneto there with our combination of our first wave and second wave of all of the X-Men 97. So that looks really cool, building out our big team of X-Men there, and they all look really good together. Well, that's going to be it for Wave 2 of our Marvel Legends X-Men 97 wave, where we got Magneto now as the leader of the X-Men, as well as Cyclops, Jean Grey, Nightcrawler, Madeline Pryor, and X-Cutioner. And all 6 of those look really cool. Love the designs of each figures. Like I said, when going through, I did nitpicks on each one. So they're all not perfect, but definitely probably some of the best figures for each of these characters that we've had so far. So really happy with them overall. So let me know what you thought of these figures down in the comments. And if you enjoyed my review, let me know with a like. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to see more of my reviews. But I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you all stay awesome out there, and I'll see you in our next review.